Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timmy Kenza James. For our new subscribers, you're welcome, and for the old ones, you're all welcome. I love you all. So today we are going to be learning how to make an off-shoulder free dress. Guys, I was tempted to call it a maxi dress, but it's not actually a maxi dress. It's going to be a short length dress. So guys, for what we are going to be needing, we'll be needing this fabric. This fabric is from my Ankara collection. You can check me out, Timmy Kenza James, on Instagram, Timmy Kenza James on Facebook, and I'm going to be dropping a number where you can contact me if you need any Ankara fabric of your choice. I have a very wide range of beautiful fabrics you can buy from. I also sell lace and other fabrics. So guys, we'll also be needing tape, a pair of scissors, a chalk, and a ruler or a pattern master, and I'm also going to be needing an iron to give my fabric a good press. So guys, let's get into the tutorial proper.
So guys, I'm just going ahead to mark 4 inches from the beginning of the fabric. Meanwhile, lest I forget, I'm going to first of all draw a line across that 4 inches to make a straight line, like so, like you can see that I'm doing. So lest I forget, for me to cut this dress, I went ahead to fold it in 4, which means I'm cutting the front and the back panel together. So as you can see, I'm not leaving any zip allowance because I'm not going to be needing a zipper for this dress. It's a really free dress. So the front side of it is on fold, but the side of the armhole is actually going to be cut out. So what I'm going to be doing is I just marked out the person's body circumference. So the largest part of her body is what I'm going to be using, and I'm going to be leaving a lot of allowance because I said I want the dress to be really free, because I'm going to eventually put an elastic band at the neckline. So her largest circumference was 50 inches, so I used 50 divided by 4 because I folded it in 4 plus the circumference that I have. So I just cut out I just went ahead to cut out my fabric actually to give me space to work with it. So I just cut out the fabric I'll be needing. That's after folding it in 4. So I'm just cutting that out right now, as you can see. So by the time I have that now, so I'm just going to adjust my fabric to make it easier for me to work on it. So I'm going to just, that 4 inches that I marked out is going to be where the loop where I'm going to be passing my elastic band. So I'm just going to bend that and give it a good press, like you see me doing. I'm just going to give it a very nice press so that I can go ahead with my cutting. So from there, I'm going to be cutting my armhole, because you know this is an off shoulder dress, so it doesn't have a shoulder or anything. So it's just part of your armhole and your neckline that is going to be on that 4 inches that I folded there. So I'm just marking out 5 inches off because it's an off shoulder dress. So I'm just marking the first 5 inches from your shoulder to your present neckline to where my shoulder point will be, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's just what I marked. So from my shoulder, from my now armhole point, I'm marking 4 inches inwards, just so that I can create my curve, and also so I can move the shoulder freely. So I'm just ruling a line on the 4 inches that I marked. Then I'm going in with a French curve, as you can see, to make the armhole curve. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing on this dress. So I'm just going ahead to cut out my armhole, like you can see, make out my armhole curve. I'm just cutting that out. So this is it, guys. You can see my armhole is gone. So I have my neckline now and my armhole cut out. So you remember I folded it in 4, so this part of it is on fold. So I'm just going to go ahead and slash that part open to enable me separate my back piece from my front piece properly, and also to be able to sew that point together. So I'm just slashing that open because that part of it is supposed to be open. So guys, So this is actually the bodies of the dress basically, so there's nothing more to it anymore. So I'm just going ahead to measure the length that I'm going to be needing. You can add your length, but for me, I'm going to be using the entire length of the fabric because I'm going to be hemming the dress in a very wide manner. So I'm using about 4 inches to hem the dress. So you can just insert the length of your dress from there and also add your hemming allowance. So that is it, guys. So I'm going to just fold this away so that I can come back and cut the sleeve for you to see. So for the sleeve, I just cut out 1 yard of the fabric and I folded it in 4 like you'd fold your towel or your handkerchief or anything. So I just folded it in 4. The sleeve is actually very similar in cutting to the dress. So that's just what I'm doing. I'm just going to go ahead and mark that 4 inches that I left on the dress on the neckline. So because the dress is off shoulder, I'm going to mark that same 4 inches that I have downwards for my armhole. Is the same thing I'm going to be doing for my sleeve. So I'm just going to be drawing that line into a straight line like you see me doing. Then just like I did to the dress, I'm just going to fold over the 4 inches and I come in with my iron and give it a nice press so that everything will lay nice before I cut out my armhole. So as you can see, I'm just ironing that. So after I iron that, I'm going to mark that 4 inches inward on my armhole point. I'm going to mark that 4 inches inward that I had on the dress. I'm going to do the same thing on the sleeve, just like I'm doing here. Then I'm going to connect that also with my French curve. I'm going to just make that shape of the armhole. I'm going to curve it like that and then I cut it out. So guys, this is it. This is just it about the sleeve. So I'm just going to be slashing open that point where I'm going to be folding it, but before then I'm just cutting that excess that you can see over there. You're not going to be needing that. Then I'm just going to slash open that point because you remember I folded it like a hanky because I wanted to cut the 2 sleeves at the same time. So this is it about my sleeve. As you can see, it's just like my dress. So guys, I've gone over to my sewing machine now. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be joining the front and the back bodies. So I'm going to be matching right sides facing each other. Then I'm not going to start joining my garments from that my neckline point. As you can see, I'm trying to just find the right side of the dress. Then I'm joining my right side together and I'm not going to start sewing from my neckline. I'm going to start sewing from the armhole point of my dress. So I just put my sleeve away for now. Then I'm going to sew, but remember I'm going to be adding a pocket to this. Don't worry about the pocket yet. I know some people will say, what about the pocket? I'm going to show you that. Then I'm just using 1 inch sewing allowance to join my dress together. The right side, the back side and the front side of the dress, I'm just using that 1 inch allowance to go ahead and run a stitch down on the dress. But the most important thing is that you ensure that the dress aligns even on the hemline. Everything aligns nicely.
Go to the second side.
So for the other side of the dress, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'll match the right side facing each other, and then from the armhole point, using 1 inch sewing allowance, I'm just going to go ahead and run a stitch down on on the dress. Remember guys that this seam, the pocket is going to be in between this seam line that I'm making, so just put that at the back of your mind. But before I do that, when I'm done stitching and I ensure that the dress is nice and aligned properly, I'm going to go over and join the sleeve to the dress, because at this point we have the bodies of the dress together. As you can see, this
So
is
I'm
it.
going
It
to
just
bring
looks
my sleeve
boxy and
pattern
kind of really wide
over
and
here,
without
check for
shape.
the right
But
side,
I'm going to bring
then I'm
over
going
the
to match the
sleeve,
right side of
and
one
I'm
sleeve.
going to find the right side
I'll
of the
mark
sleeve
one side of
and
it like
join them
so.
together. Then also, just like I did to the
Then using
dress,
the same
on
allowance that I
the
used
armhole line, I'm going to align the
for the
sleeve and start
dress,
sewing
that's what
from
I'm
the
going to use
armhole line down to
to
the
join
hem of the
the
sleeve.
sleeve.
I'm going to run a stitch using 1 inch sewing allowance as well. So I'm going to go ahead and find the right side of the other sleeve as well, and then I'll match the right sides together. Then also using 1 inch sewing
Then
allowance, just like I
going
did to
ahead
the
to do the
dress,
same thing for
I'm
the
going to
second
sew
side of the sleeve.
from the armhole points down to the hem of the dress, the sleeve, ensuring that it is properly aligned. Then I'm just
Now
going to go
I'm
ahead
just
and
going to hem
grab my
the
bodies,
downside
that's
of the sleeve
the
now, because I'm going to be
dress,
adding an elastic at
the
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 downside
sleeve,
of the
sorry.
sleeve.
I'm going to
I'm
go
going to
ahead
hem
and
it
hem the sleeve.
by one
Now
and a half
guys, I'm
inch,
going to
using one
hem
and
the
a half
sleeve
inch hemming
using
allowance, because I'm going to be
1.5
passing
inch
a half
hemming
inch
allowance. Then
elastic
I'm going
thread,
to double
elastic
stitch
band
it,
through that same
because
hole. So
I will
this is
be
more like
needing
making a loop
that,
for me to
I'll be
pass
needing
my
that
thread.
point as a loop also to pass in my elastic for the sleeve, to sort of give me a
So I'm just
puffy
hemming
look
it
on my sleeve. So I'm just
on the
going
one
ahead
side
to
of
hem the sleeve using that 1.5 inch
the fabric.
allowance, and then ensuring that it's sort of like a loop that I'm going to be passing my elastic band. And the elastic band I'm going to be using at the hem side of the sleeve is going to be a 1/2 inch band. So
So as you're hemming it, just
when
make
you're
sure
doing
you
this,
have
bear that in mind,
um
how wide you
space in
want your
between that
band to be
that
there, so
elastic band can pass
so
through.
that you know how much seam allowance you're going to be needing and how wide the loop should actually be. So that's what I'm just going to be doing. I'll be doing this on both sides, on the both sleeves. I'll be doing the same thing for the both sleeves. Then I'll come over to join my dress, the sleeve to my dress.
You keep moving and come close to the this thing, make it look wetin you need to do.
So guys, at this point I'm just going to grab my dress and then bring my sleeve, one of my sleeve as well. Then I align that seam allowance that I made. I'm going to align the seam points together. Then I'll pin it down and sew over the armhole side. So I'm just going to attach the both sleeves on the dress using the same method. I'm going to pin down the midpoint of the armhole and run a seam over it like so. As you can see, I'm just doing that on both sides of the dress. So I have my sleeves fixed now, so I'm just going to go ahead and hem the neckline of my dress. You remember I used 4 inches at that point, so I'm going to double fold that 4 inches, so I'm going to end up with something like 2 inches hem. So I'm going to hem a wide hem there that will eventually be a loop, because I want a wider elastic band on that point. So the elastic band that I'm using there is over 1 inch, so I'm making the loop to be 2 inches. That's why I used 4 inches on the
Okay, so I've
neckline.
gone ahead
So that's
to
what you see
overlock
that I
my
have
raw
over
edges,
there.
as you can see.
Then I'm
I've
also
gone
going
ahead
to
to
go
overlock
ahead
my raw
and
edges. So I'm going to hem
iron
it now. I've
my
also gone
dress,
ahead
and
to
then
mark out
I would
the
I
sides where
overlocked
I
the
will be
dress, as
folding,
you
so
can
you can
see.
see it's
Then
not
I'm going to
folding
hem
easily, and I
the
pressed it
the
down.
hem side of the dress. That's
So
the
I'm just
actual
going to
hem, that's the down
hem
part of the dress. I'm
the
just going to
dress.
go ahead and hem it. You remember I also left
I'll hem
another
the
four
dress,
inches
after which
hemming allowance
I'll
there,
come
because I
back
want the hem on that
to
side to
add
be
my
wide. So I
elastic
just
band
ironed down that
on the
point,
bodies and the
and
sleeve
that's the elastic band I'm
for
going to
you
be
to
using,
see.
guys. So the elastic band will be on the neck side. So I just went ahead to hem the down of my dress, so that everything can be nice and clean. So that's what I'm doing. I've gone ahead to hem everything, so I'll come back to show you how I fixed my elastic band. Meanwhile, this point at the neck side of the dress, I left that point so that I can pass my elastic band on that side. I'm using this elastic band I told you is over 1 inch, so I just put a safety pin on the elastic band just to be able to pass it through the neckline across the arm of the dress. So that's just what I'm practically talking about. So I'll be using the slimmer one for the lower part of the sleeve and the wider one for my neckline. So I just made sure there was a loop, where there was a space where the band would pass through. So I'm just going to pass the elastic band into my neckline using that hole that I left there. So I'm just passing my band through it. When I'm done doing that, I'm going to do the same thing to the sleeve of the dress with the slimmer elastic band. So I'm going to be doing that off camera, so that you would see.
So I'll just have it flat like so. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag that in. Then I'm going to close that hole that I started my seam from. You can see the hole is open, so I'm just going to go ahead and close it since the elastic is already inside of it now. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that hole nicely. Then I back stitch at the end. So this is it about our dress for now. We just even out the elastic, everything should come out nice. You can see our dress is becoming nicer to look at. So I'm just going to add the elastic on the sleeve, the both sleeves. I'm going to do that off camera since I showed you how to do this. Then I'm going to come over and show you how to add pockets on the dress. So guys, I've gone ahead to put fix my elastic on this side. So by the time you get to the other extreme, you just measure to know how much would be enough for your shoulder, like this. Then you cut the elastic. So I'm going to come over here to stitch the elastic together. So I'm just going to show you how I will be stitching my elastic. I'm just going to join it together like so. Then I'll stitch and back stitch. I'll back stitch like 2 to 3 times just to ensure that everything is nice and tight. So guys, I just went ahead to cut this panel like this. There's nothing special about it. I just placed my hand to know how I'll be able to cut. Then I just traced out my hands. So that's what gave me these panels. So I have 4 pieces of it. I'm going to be using 2 for one pocket, 2 for the other pocket. So now I'm turning the dress to the wrong side of the dress. I turned it over like so. So I'm going to measure 7 inches from the armhole downwards, 7 inches. So from that 7 inches point, I'm going to insert my pocket. So I'm picking one of these like this. So I'm going to place it like so. You can see how the shape looks. You see how it is facing. So these are where my fingers will be. So this is where my wrist will be. So the line of the wrist, I'm just going to place it like so. I'm also going to be doing an in-depth video on fixing a pocket, so by the time I do that, you'd understand very well what I mean. So I'm just going to sew. Now look, I'm opening the seam allowance into two, so I'm sewing on the right side of one side of the seam allowance. That's where I'm placing this. So I'm going to sew it like so. Here you go. So I'm shifting it. I now have this other side of the seam allowance, so I'm picking the second one. I'm going to make sure it aligns with the first one like so. Then I'll pick it on, then I'll make the right sides to face each other like so. Then I'm going to be sewing the second side down. You have to do this carefully so that you don't sew underneath. I'm just going to go ahead and sew it carefully so that I don't stitch on the other pocket or stitch where I'm not supposed to. So now I have the both sides like this. They are opposite each other. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll close them like this. Then I'll come over again. Then from here, I'll start sewing from the fabric. That's from the same initial seam. I'll start sewing like that. Then when I get to the pocket side, I'm going to just raise the machine foot, turn over like this, and sew across the pocket bags. Don't worry about how it looks now. I'm going to go ahead and overlock the pocket bags. When I get to this seam line, I'll also raise this and I'll go ahead and back stitch. So I'm just going to go ahead and overlock this. So here we go, guys. These are our pocket bags. So I'm just going to turn the dress over to open the pocket opening. Now guys, remember that this side is totally closed, so I know you'll be wondering where are you going to put like your hands into the pocket. So this is what I'm going to just do. I'm just going to grab where my pocket is from inside. My pocket is around here, so I'm going to sorry, I'm going to loosen the seam on that side of my pocket. So I'm using my seam ripper to open the seam. Just going to go ahead and open the seam to reveal my pocket.
So guys, this is my dress. This is the finished look. You can see the sleeve, the neck, and the pockets is nice. It contains my sleeve and everything. Look at the hand, guys. I love the puffiness on the sleeve and the neckline, so you can see it contains my hands well. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed watching, please give me a thumbs up, guys, as it will help my channel. So please share this video also with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I have a new video up on the channel. See you in my next video, guys. Bye.